listener production.
G'day, it's Rusty here, and this is the Motorsport Brief, your short, sharp update, and just a few days after a ripper weekend on both the local and global scene. Today, the Supercars Series leader will join us. Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of our new Rusty's Garage shortcast. Thank you very much for all the feedback too. We would love you to rate and review the pod, whether you're using the free listener app or any of the other major platforms. It is great to know that you're enjoying it. And I always appreciate the guest suggestions too. Keep them coming. Our latest long form ep with Michael Pickens dropped in the past week. It is a fantastic conversation around his speedway achievements in New Zealand, Australia and the United States, with a little bit of discussion dedicated to what he might do next too. Today's guest has been doing some sprint car racing and is pretty handy at that. It's early days in the 2023 Supercars Championship, but that is clearly the big target for him and the Erebus team. Brodie Kostecki is on the line. Hello, mate.
How are you, Russ?
Nice to see you, mate. And this is an audio experience, but can we start? You are actually sitting in your simulator for this. This is highly appropriate, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I thought I would, I used to do a bit of streaming and stuff, sometimes still do, when I have a bit of free time, and it's already set up, ready to go, so I thought I'd just jump in and I can get straight into a race afterwards.
You're having a great season, mate, which we can talk about, but does the sim stuff help all of that? I mean, a number of guys do it, obviously. Do you find it beneficial?
Yeah, definitely. I've always done, I've always had a racing simulator since I was probably 7 years old, and I think it really, we only race 12 times a year in the Supercars calendar. So you need to try to fill your time up with, racing as much as possible. And it's, sometimes it can be hard these days to go jump in a car and go to a racetrack. So, fortunately enough, technology's come so far these days with, different racing platforms. I generally use iRacing and spend a bit of time on there as well as some other drivers as well. And I like to have a burn around there.
Good on you. Probably worth opening the batting in this conversation, mate, by rewinding a little to the Grand Prix, getting the Larry Perkins trophy from LP himself. Where does that rank for you in career terms? Pretty special.
Yeah, it is actually very special. It was a bit of a surreal moment at the time, obviously getting my first, race win that weekend and, backing it up the race afterwards. But it sort of really meant nothing at the time to me because I knew that there was a lot on the line, and I knew how much the Larry Perkins trophy would mean to the team. And, it was a big sigh of relief. Obviously, starting that last race from, I think, 14th or 15th and racing Shane, he was starting 12th. And, we had to beat him to get the LP trophy. So, obviously, to get on the podium that last race from where we started was, pretty unreal. And, when we crossed the line and, got told that we obviously got the LP trophy and was able to give it to Barry, which was a really cool moment for myself.
Awesome. Early days. I know you'll be keen to remind us of that in this championship. Erebus, though, even at this point, I think it's fair to say, looks like a more consistent package than it perhaps has been in recent years. And there's no doubt there's many factors in that. Garth Tander has even described you in the press very recently as the team I'm talking, as the real deal. What are all the factors that have come together here in your mind with this new car perhaps that have given you that sort of start to the year?
Yeah, I'll be honest here. The last 2 years was really difficult for myself. I'm a really competitive person and really not the best sort of loser, as I guess many probably professional competitive people are and whatnot. But when I first signed on to Erebus as well, the whole goal was to be prepared when Gen 3 showed up. And a lot of hard work and effort has gone into the Erebus Gen 3 program. And when I first hit the track for the first time in the car for the shakedown there at Winton, all my, well, not doubts, but all my questions got answered straight away. The team did a fantastic job. The car was unreal straight away. And it was, great to see that, carry on into Newcastle to get the first ever pole for Gen 3 as well. And obviously the year that we've had so far has just been amazing. But, I'm not counting my chickens yet. Like you said, it's still really early in the season, but it's definitely been exciting so far. And I think there's still more to come from us as well.
Good job. Did it give you a great feeling from the very outset, mate? I mean, much has been said about the car, what different people think about it and so on. I don't necessarily want to ask that, but did you walk away from that opening experience thinking, we're in good shape here. This is a good way to start the year?
Yeah, definitely. I was really open-minded when I first jumped into the car. I did a bit of prototype testing in the the Supercars Zone Gen 3s, and wasn't really too sure what to expect straight away, but just wanted to stay open-minded because at the end of the day, it's about what the fans see, not about what we feel or say. It's about what the fans see in the show that we put on for them. And I think so far Gen 3 has been, fantastic in terms of that. We saw that on the weekend. So, it's been a good challenge for myself and also for the team and as well as other teams as well. I'm just excited to be a part of it and excited to be a part of the team that's getting the most out of it as well.
You've been doing some debrief notes just before you kindly joined us today. One thing you may not have done as a part of that is look right back over the broadcast. There was a nice little snapshot in there, Brodie, of your career that Mark Larkham did. I thought it was superb. And it reminded viewers about the time that you spent in the US as a teenager with things like the K&N Pro Series against the likes of Bubba Wallace. I mean, they're physical cars, mate. That's a little while ago now, but has that variety, has a little bit of that history been beneficial for where we are now?
Yeah, definitely. I probably wouldn't put it down to one category. I'd probably put it down to the variety of things that I've raced, and also too, I've had a lot of support around me the last few years. Paul Morris as well was always said to drive as many different cars as you can and just stay open-minded. You don't really want to get stuck in a single way of thinking or driving. You want to be as open-minded as possible and have as many tools from the toolbox you can draw from. So I've been pretty fortunate enough to drive, cars like that NASCAR K&N Pro Series car and, other cars as well, which has been, fantastic. And I probably put some of my success down to, driving all those variety of different things.
That leads me naturally to sprint cars. People can find on your social media some of the stuff you've been doing over summer. That's very, very different if we're talking diverse things to drive here. How much have you enjoyed that? Has it helped? And will you do a bit more of it in the summer of 24?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing quite a bit more of it, when the calendar aligns properly and I have enough time after a sprint car round to sort of catch my breath. Those
Excellent.
Cars are absolutely unreal and I've really enjoyed the challenge so far, and it's probably been the most frustrating thing I've ever done in my whole life is jumping that sprint car. It's, I've always been, jumped into a car and it hasn't taken me too long to, sort of get the swing of things, but to be honest, these cars are just absolutely crazy. I mean, you're strapped to 900 horsepower and, you get out of the car and, you feel like you've got back into a world that's in slow motion. So it's been great for me, jumping out of that car and then jumping back into a supercar. Everything feels like it slows down a lot, which has been, pretty cool. And it's definitely helped me out a bit this year.
Good on you. I'm glad you're doing more of that. Great endorsement from your engineer, George, as well, who has worked with almost a dozen Formula One drivers during his career, and he rates you the best of them, mate. What is it that's working so well between you two, do you think?
Yeah, it's I've been with George now since I first started racing supercars full time, and I've had a great relationship with him so far. And he's such a quiet character when he's around the pit lane, and good fun to be around. In the team environment. Like you said, he's worked in many different forms of motorsport and has got a lot of wisdom that the team draws from as well. And he's a very smart man, and I think we both get the most out of each other as a combo, which is really cool to see. And it's been great working with him. And, we've had a really good year this year so far. And, we're just sort of just trying to tick boxes together. And, hopefully, we can get to the end of the year and, have a smile on our faces.
More may that continue, more smiles. Now, you probably can't tell the full story. That's understandable. I like a little laugh along the way. You know that. Your nickname is Bush. Who gave that to you? And there is a little bit of a story about how it kind of came about, isn't there? Was it Paul Morris?
Yeah, it was. Paul Morris gave him the nickname. He gives a lot of people nicknames, but
he's great with one-liners. Very good.
Yeah, he is very good with one-liners, and was very fortunate enough coming up through the junior ranks to be able to spend a lot of time at Norwell to polish up, improve my skill set, and was driving some cars one day with him, and we got into a bit of a brake failure with my cousin Kurt was actually driving the car at the time, and I wasn't really too excited about being in the passenger seat of the car with no brakes, and I definitely wasn't going to stick that out all the way to the earth bank or the trees there. So
you
Kurt
bailed,
had to,
didn't you? You bailed.
Yeah, I bailed out. I think we were doing like 120 at the time.
Crikey.
And I let Kurt take care of the rest. He guided it directly into a tree, so he did a pretty good job there, and I was out and slid along. It was wet and raining. It was absolutely a miserable day, so I was slid along the grass for probably 100 meters up an earth bank and come out of a bush. So
there you go.
I was reborn that day as bush.
Do not try that at home, kids. Now, it does lead me to the fact that Norwell has been fantastic for all sorts of reasons, for the development of your own career that you've talked about there, but also too, mate, you give back a little bit now. You share a bit of that knowledge to others. Do you enjoy that stuff? Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important to do, and if I was a 12 or 13 or 14, 15-year-old kid, I'd be asking for as much advice as I could. And there has been some of those kids that are out there that are racing in Super 2 right now that are really eager to make it to the next step. And I think it's really important to put back into the sport. It is actually really hard to, with the cost cuttings these days, to go out and practice a supercar, and it's hard to get laps. Having Norwell there as a training ground, to be able to improve your skill set, was really beneficial in my career, and would love to help out as many young fellas as possible. Good on you. That podium at race 9 in Perth represented a very young brigade. You, Brock Feeney, your teammate Will Brown. I think the V8 Sleuth guys quite rightly reminded us the average age across the three of you, 23 years, 234 days. It is the youngest podium in Supercars history. Does it feel pretty good to be kind of part of a new wave as well, mate? I know you're respectful of others that have come through it, but to be bit of that new brigade, does that feel good? Yeah, it does feel. It does feel good. It means all those sleepless nights and days of preparing my own Super 2 car and sleeping on different people's couches and whatnot, and just sort of trying to make it all happen was all worthwhile. So it's been great so far, and it's great to see Brock getting some success as well. Hopefully, he doesn't get too much more, the little the little bastard, but. No, he's been great for the sport as well, and it's great to see young, some youth coming through and showing some success. Now, Chaz Mostert, you lead him by 100 points going into Tassie. That's in a few weeks' time, next round of the series. What are kind of the team debriefs like? Because, as you said before, early days, but the goal here is to maintain, to build, Brodie, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. I think the common sense sort of prevails in these sort of scenarios. We rolled out the start of the year really fast, and I think the gap has slowly been diminishing to the rest of the teams. As as we saw in Perth, the qualifying was really tight and whatnot. So as the year goes on, other teams are going to start to become more of a challenge to us, and as well as other teams as well, like Triple Eight. So we need to sort of keep on improving as well on our front. So like you just said, these debriefs are really important about what we can do better. And I didn't feel very strong on the Sunday, and obviously to have 2 podiums that day is really cool. So it shows that there's more for us. When you look up and down the pit lane, you identified Triple Eight there a moment ago, and obviously yourselves. Are there a couple of others now that you're starting to go, oh, hang on, they're getting it, they're coming, those guys? What about other teams up and down the lane? Yeah, I think, the most obvious one for me is probably Groves. They've done a fantastic job, and Dave was really fast all weekend, and races probably didn't swing sort of his way, but he's had a really fast car, the last couple of rounds and whatnot. And, there's been BJR that, Grand Prix had some really good pace at times, and but they seem to struggle a little bit at Perth. So, we've been lucky in that area, having the consistent speed throughout each round, which has been really cool. So, Tasmania's next up for us, and hopefully it carries on there. Barry Ryan's a tough racer. He's got some great experience in that sport, in that paddock. What sort of things is he saying to you guys, both of you? I mean, Will had a great weekend in Perth as well. What sort of things is he saying in the wake of the limelight that you guys are enjoying and the start to the year that you've had? Yeah, I think it's been a bit of a shock to his system this year, if I'm honest.
we went from last year and the year before to, fighting just inside the top 5 and, maybe here or then, snagging a podium to now it's, the last couple of rounds it's been, why have we not been able to win? We finished second or third or, why, pretty much why haven't we been able to sort of win, whatnot? And it's been a bit of a shock to everyone, but it's, we've had to change our attitude a lot and, our expectations are a lot different than, what they were. They're a lot higher now. And, the whole team's just done a fantastic job. I don't feel like I have any pressure on me, and Will feels the same way as well as the crew. It's just everyone's just putting in their individual performance, and as a team, we've been a fantastic team.
What about Betty Klemenko? What's she saying?
Yeah, she's said a lot that I probably can't say here. She's said that she's never sworn so much at a TV, and she was glad that she wasn't at Perth because she reckons she would have had a heart attack when we got the 1-2. And
okay.
She's been really excited about this year, and I believe she's coming to Tasmania, so it'd be great to have her there.
We'll squeeze in a quick break here. Brodie's going to kindly stick around for a little bit longer on this edition of The Brief. We'll have more in a moment. Few to finish here. The flashpoint, obviously, the big headline was the battle that you had with Shane van Gisbergen. It looked like, from the outside, a couple of blokes at Norwell in some old cars going at it. What did it feel like on the inside, both at the time it was happening and then when everything sort of settled down later?
Yeah, it was an awesome race I had with Shane there, and I've been really looking forward to some of these battles that we're going to have. And I knew with 4 or 5 laps to go that he was going to get to me with about 3 laps to go, and obviously George was in my ear, letting me know lap times and whatnot. So I knew with about 3 laps to go he was going to be on my bumper, and with 3 laps to go at that point, it's sort of anyone's race. So I wasn't just going to hand it to him. I wanted him to work for it. So. Yeah, it was an awesome race between us both, and I enjoyed every second of it.
Mm. The protest, I think everyone sort of talked about it. It's set a precedent. A few days have passed since then now. How do you guys sort of feel in the wake of that? Yeah,
sort of the protest, the protest sort of was just to, I guess, see, what the racing was going to be like. And, I was not necessarily happy with the moves prior to the protest incident that we had.
Mm-hmm. On track, you're talking on track, you mean? Yeah, yep.
Yeah, on track, and we raced to a rule book, and that that's what that's what everyone races to, and we're bound by the rules. And I was really disappointed that I got a bad sportsmanship flag, and it took 6 to 7 hours to get an answer why I was given the sportsmanship flag. And then I saw the day after on TV that, they put it down to one move going to turn 6, which was a lap before the protest. And every single camera angle was cut from the corner before, where I was getting, hit pretty hard up the arse by Shane, which, is against the rules. But, I don't actually care. That's just racing to me. And, I enjoyed every second of it. But I was just really disappointed in, how that sort of played out. And I didn't really care about the protest, to be honest. It was more about, getting that flag and, the bullshit surrounding it. And, just not necessarily the truth was, really given to me. And it was just all sort of, bullshit in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Is it because you're a hard but fair racer, mate? That's the thing people probably need to take away from this chat.
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, I played by the rules. I know the rules off by heart, as you'd need to be, going to those, those sort of scenarios. And I love racing hard, and to me that is hard racing. Even when Shane was rubbing with me, I don't really have a problem with that. But it's just it sets a precedent now against the rules for the future. So it's going to be interesting to see how the races sort of play out. And I've been penalised in the past before for less, but it just is what it is, and we just got to play on now. And to be honest, I don't really necessarily care about the whole deal, but some other people do.
I would encourage people listening to this to listen to your answers in full, not little sound bites, to give you fairness in the way that you've expressed your viewpoint there, mate. I think that's important. I think it's also important to remind people that when we have high-stakes sport of any kind, you use every asset in your armoury, and that means using the rule book at times as well. So, mate, to that, what is the relationship like with Shane? Because typically you guys have got on super well, but now we're batting for a championship here. Is it okay? Has it changed? What's that like?
No, to me, mate, it's just all racing. So, I can go out there and put my helmet on and I believe that we can both have, a massive ding-dong battle like how we did on the weekend and get out and shake hands and, and sort of just be happy for each other. So I'm sure to get more heated as we go down the line. But, as of right now, I really enjoyed racing with him and, I believe he enjoyed racing me as well. And, we both got out after the race and, said how awesome it was. So, yeah. It's it'll be interesting to see how it goes down the line, but so far it's been great, being great, able to race each other so hard and fair in my opinion.
Hopefully you can preserve that. Is the threat here too, mate? And in managing relationships, you got to think internally too, because Will had a great weekend in WA. That's got to kind of be in the back of your mind as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Will's been an awesome teammate, and he's definitely no slouch either. He's like how we showed on the Sunday, he got a pole and drove away in that race. Gets me when we get our first 1-2 and, was putting pressure on Brock for the majority of the race in the last one. So he's had great speed as well. So definitely can't count him out either. And, Brock's not too far behind either in the championship. So, as far as, I'm concerned, anyone's a threat at this point inside the top sort of 6. So, yeah, we just have to keep our heads down. And, we've had, I think, 7 podiums in the last 8 races, which has been really cool. So we'll just keep that up.
All right, let's finish on that note. Keep your head down, as you say. Go well for the remainder of the championship. We're grateful that you've come on and given more of an insight into who Brodie Kostecki is, and hopefully we get to have a little beer later down the track in the season, mate. Enjoy the remainder of 2023 and go well.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Before we go, a couple of other quick yarns. Gritty drive from Oscar Piastri, who battled a stomach bug over the F1 weekend in Baku. He finished just outside the points in the main race in 11th. Sergio Perez won again. He trails teammate Max Verstappen by 6 points in the Drivers' Championship, now heading to Miami this weekend. James Small, who we added to the Rusty's Garage library very recently. Good story of a racer turned engineer who now works in NASCAR. Well, he returned to the winner's circle with his driver, Martin Truex Jr. in Dover there. James has been working damn hard with the Joe Gibbs team to get back to victory lane after winning at the Coliseum at the start of the year. Well done. Congrats to Ben Barguana, who picked up the TCR Europe Rookie Trophy and almost finished in the top 10 in the second race of his debut in the TCR World Tour in Portugal. He'll be back in action at Phillip Island in 10 days' time for round 2 of the Aussie Series. Dick Johnson Racing has announced an unchanged lineup. Will Davison and Anton Di Pasquale will be its front line again in 2024. Consistency is the key, according to management. They're keeping a nice, stable lineup. And Scott McLaughlin, their former driver, headed into the month of May in the best possible way with what he described as the most complete IndyCar drive of that part of his career so far. Taking out the race in Alabama ahead of Romain Grosjean, we have got a member of the NBC commentary team joining us on the brief in the weeks ahead to preview the big one, the Indy 500, at the end of the month. So keep an ear out, an eye out for that. That is it for today. Our thanks to Barry Ryan, Shannon, and all the team at Erebus for helping us to get Brodie Kostecki on today. We hope you enjoyed it. No doubt we'll get him on for a longer chat further down the track as well here on Rusty's Garage. Catch you next time, everyone. Bye for now.